All right, welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty fundamental to learning English as
Yeah.
a
Absolutely correct.
second language, and that's pronunciation.
Yeah.
So much of the time when we're learning a new language, we focus so much on grammar and
Correct.
and vocabulary
Yeah.
and things like that.
For sure.
But pronunciation is equally important
It is. It is.
because if people can't understand you, what's the point of even
Absolutely.
learning the rest of the language?
Totally agree.
So I'm really excited to deep dive into this today
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, one of the things that can be really intimidating about English pronunciation is that English has sounds that don't exist in a lot of other languages.
Right.
And that's something that you really have to kind of train your mouth to do in a way that you never had to before.
For sure. And it can feel very unnatural at first, but like anything with practice, you can make those sounds. And actually, one of the things that can be really helpful with that is something called the IPA-iteria, the International Phonetic Alphabet.
Yeah, the IPA, it
Both
looks
intimidating.
scary at first.
Yeah, it
Kind
can.
of like it's a bunch of like weird symbols that don't look like
Right. It's like hieroglyphics almost.
Roman alphabet or
Yeah.
anything like that. But
Yeah, but it's actually super useful because what it does is it gives you a symbol for every sound that exists in every language.
wow, every single sound in every language.
Yeah, so there's way more symbols in the International Phonetic Alphabet than there are
Oh, that makes
in
sense.
the Roman alphabet
Yeah,
because there's
That makes sense.
way more sounds in all the languages of the world.
Oh, so it's kind of like a universal language of sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
It's a way to understand sounds
Yeah.
across languages. And
Mm.
a lot of dictionaries will give you the IPA spelling of a word so that you know exactly how to pronounce it.
Okay, that's super helpful.
Yeah, especially because English spelling is so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
English spelling is nuts.
one word can be spelled like 5 different ways. And,
Yes. That's a whole other deep dive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I should do on spelling.
We should do a deep dive on spelling sometime.
But yeah, so the IPA is super helpful for that because it breaks down the sounds into like,
Yeah, it breaks it down into phonemes, which are the individual.
like the little building blocks.
Yeah,
like,
little building block.
like into word.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you have that sort of visual representation of the sound,
Mm-hmm.
it can be easier to then start training your mouth
Right.
to make that sound.
For sure. For
Actually,
sure.
yeah.
And, I think,
Now, one thing that I always tell people when they're learning English,
yeah.
listen to as much English as you possibly can.
Yes.
Because
Totally agree.
our brains are actually like wired
Yeah.
to imitate sounds.
They are, and especially for language. I mean, that's how we learn language as children, is by listening and imitating. And so as adults, even though it can feel a little bit more awkward or self-conscious,
Right.
our brains are still doing that.
Yeah, we still have that capacity.
We still have that capacity.
Yeah.
So the more you listen to native speakers, the more your brain is going to start to absorb those sounds and those rhythms and
Yeah.
then all of that.
That's why I think like watching TV shows or movies or listening
Right.
to music in English can be so helpful.
Absolutely. And what's a really great technique for that is speech shadowing.
Speech shadowing.
Have you ever heard of speech shadowing?
I have. And I've tried it a little bit myself, and it's harder than it sounds.
It's hard.
But yeah, explain what it is for people who haven't heard of it.
So basically, you listen to a native speaker and you try to repeat exactly what they're saying
At the same time.
at the same time. So you're kind of like their shadow.
Yeah. It's almost like you're dubbing them in real time.
Yeah, and it's a workout for your pronunciation muscles because you're having to listen so carefully and then adjust your mouth
Yes.
to make the same sounds.
It's like a coordination exercise.
It is. It's like a coordination exercise.
A pronunciation
Oh,
exercise.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
And what's great about it is you can do it with anything. You can do it in
Oh.
podcasts, you can do it with TV shows, you can do it with
Audiobooks.
audiobooks. Yeah,
Yeah.
anything that you're listening to.
It's a good way to make anything into like a learning
So
experience.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's a key thing too, is to try to find ways to make your English practice enjoyable. Because
Yeah.
if you're enjoying it, you're more likely to do it.
Absolutely.
The more you do it, the better you'll get.
Yeah, and it won't feel like such a chore.
Exactly.
It'll just feel like you're watching your favorite TV show, which is great.
And you're learning at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, one other thing I wanted to touch on, because it's not just about the individual sounds, it's also about the music of English.
Oh, yeah, the music of English.
The rhythm and the intonation.
I love that phrase.
Yeah,
The music of English.
because it really is like music.
It is.
And it's so important because it conveys so much meaning.
Like, for example, I mean, I think everybody has heard this example, but like, I went to the store versus I went to the store.
Exactly.
Totally different meanings.
Totally different meanings, just depending on where you put the emphasis.
Yeah, or like even something like,
yeah.
How are you?
Right.
If you say it like, how are you?
Versus how are you?
It sounds sarcastic.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like intonation is
Yeah.
so key to sounding natural.
It is. It is. And it's also key to being understood.
Yes.
Because if you have the wrong intonation, people might misinterpret what you're saying.
And how do you suggest that people kind of develop that sense of...
It's tricky.
Musicality of English.
It is tricky, but again, it goes back to listening.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how native speakers are speaking.
Yeah.
Listen to the rise and fall of their voice.
Like the ups and downs.
The ups and downs,
yeah.
Where they put the emphasis in a sentence.
I think shadowing probably helps with that too.
Absolutely. Shadowing is great for that because you're literally trying to mimic that music.
Yeah.
And there are also other things you can do, like reading aloud is really good.
Oh yeah, reading aloud is a good one.
Because then you're seeing the words on the page and you're having to produce them out loud with the correct intonation.
Poetry is a really good one for that.
Poetry is great, because poetry has such a strong rhythm and meter to it. You know what else is good? Acting.
Oh, acting.
Yeah.
If you like to act.
Get into character.
Yeah, get into character.
And use that as a way to practice.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So many fun ways to practice.
There are so many fun ways to practice.
Yeah. And the good news is there are so many resources out there too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, back in the day, it was like you had to either go live in an English-speaking country or find a native speaker to talk to.
Yeah.
But now, like, there's so many.
And internet has changed everything.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, there's apps, there's websites, there's online tutors.
There's YouTube videos, there's podcasts.
Podcasts.
Like this one.
Like this one, exactly.
There's so much out there.
There's so much out there.
What are some of your favorite resources that you recommend to people?
Honestly, one of the simplest but most effective things is just to record yourself speaking.
Oh, yeah.
I know it can feel a little awkward at first, but it's like having a mirror.
Yeah, like a pronunciation mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hear.
You can hear yourself and you can identify.
Yeah, what you sound like. What you sound like, and then you can compare that to maybe a native speaker and see where you're...
Like, what are the differences?
Yeah, what are the differences?
Like what you need to work on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's such a good tip.
And it's free.
Yeah.
You don't need any fancy equipment. You can just use your phone.
Yeah, everybody has a voice recorder on their phone now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great advice.
So yeah, don't underestimate the power of that.
Cool. So I think the main takeaway here is that pronunciation is something that you can improve.
Absolutely.
It takes time and effort.
Time